Today, let's go back to Barolo Vintage 2010. Many wine critics agreed that it was the perfect vintage. And that's a big statement, so let's try to find out if it is true. In 2010, we had a long, cold and snowy winter. It was cold until April, so also the spring was still cool and rather rainy. We had some fungi attacks. It wasn't easy. The vegetation season was rather late. And also the summer, alternated some hot days with some cooler days, some rain. It didn't look like a great vintage until the end of August. But then something really changed drastically, and we had the most beautiful September and early October. This was much to the advantage of late ripening grapes. Maybe it wasn't so great for Dolcetto and Barbera, but definitely better for Nebbiolo grapes. They ripened slowly, they took all the time they needed throughout September and early October, and we came to a rather late harvest in the second week of October. From this premise, we can expect Barolos that had time to develop not only sugar, but also their biological complexity, more tannins, more polyphenols, more richness to develop a long time. So Barolos for slow ripening over a long time curve. The color kept its dark garnet in the middle, but it evolves into almost a golden rim around it. Very intense long ethers in the nose with some fruits still forward, in particular blackberries and blackcurrant, and then they leave room to a touch of oak, and then immediately spice. There's cinnamon and there's clove, and then it leads towards leather, but also very beautiful incense. It's like going into a church when there's full incense. It's delicate and persistent at the same time. Well, still bites. It's very powerful, chewy. The tannins are tight. They're definitely very strong and chewy. Full body. There's still fruits, in particular plums and dark cherries. There's good acidity, very vibrant acidity. It's still growing. It hasn't found its ripeness, its full maturity. And it's even difficult to define it, to close it into a definition, into one sentence. It's certainly multi-faceted, has different sides to it. And it's a Barolo to keep. It's for long term. Definitely something that we should keep more than 20 years. In the end, it is true that Barolo 2010 is very powerful, really chewy, rich, full of tannins, slowly ripening. I don't know if we can call it the perfect vintage. Maybe perfection doesn't exist. But certainly I do understand why all wine critics agreed that this is a grand vintage. This is a grandiose Barolo. This is probably the Barolo that you want to put away and pass it on to the next generation.